it's me, Amanda. I'm back again with another yoga practice. This one is going to be grounded and slower. The goal is to make you feel de-stressed, calm, and in touch. Hopefully you feel good during and after this practice. I'm going to get my room set up and I'll meet you on your mats. Really, anyway, crisscross applesauce. You can use a block underneath your hips if you like to sit cross-legged, but it's a little bit too much on the hips. But whatever you choose, just come in and we'll take a minute to center ourselves. Reach your sits bones down to the ground. Place your hands on your knees. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes for a couple grounding breaths. Start to slow the breath down here. Deep inhales, maybe to the count of 4. Hold at the top for just a moment, gently releasing tension, and then exhale for a count of 5. Work to make the exhale longer than the inhale. And just letting go of anything that may have happened before this practice and anything that you might have going on afterwards. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Work to make each inhale a little bit longer and each exhale even longer than that. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the top, release the tension in your face. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. Let it go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take a couple more breaths at your own pace, working to make the exhale longer than the inhale. Crown of the head reaches up to the sky, sits bones grounding down beneath you. On your next inhale, you can blink the eyes open if you'd like. Sweep the arms up ahead, up over your head. On exhale, right hand grounds down. Left hand comes to right knee and take a gentle twist. Gaze can shift over your right elbow towards the back of the room as far as is comfortable for you. Crown still reaches up, shoulders are relaxed. Belly button tucks up and in and to the left, in the opposite direction of your twist. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, twist in the opposite direction. Crown reaches high again. Shoulders are relaxed down. Belly button pulls up to the right. Inhale, sweep your arms back up. Exhale, place your hands to your knees. We're going to move through some seated cat-cows today. This is similar, oh I'm sorry, I'm so gross. This is similar to a traditional cat-cow, which would be taken in a tabletop position, but what we're going to do instead is bring the hands to the knees, and on an inhale, we'll bring the chest forward, gaze reaches up, and let the tailbone flare back. You can use the traction of your palms against your knees to pull your chest forward and up. And on an exhale, press the knees away, round the spine, tuck the chin, tailbone reaches forward, crown of the head reaches forward. And we'll move through that a few times. Inhale, chest up, gaze up, tailbone back. Exhale, spine rounds. You can take any other movements that you might find comfortable here. Some barrel rolls I usually think feel good through the chest. You can roll the head as long as it's comfortable for the neck. Any movements that might just wake up the spine and feel good for you. If you take any movements in one direction, making sure that you take them in the opposite direction as well. And on your next inhale, come back to center. Place your hands in front of you, cross your ankles. Come into a tabletop and go ahead and press the hips right up into a downward facing dog. This is the first downward facing dog of the day, so you'll probably feel a little bit stiff. I always do, especially if you have tight hamstrings or quads. Quads is the wrong muscle. I was thinking of calves. Go ahead and take some movement if you'd like. Feet are hip width distance about apart. All 10 fingers pressing into the ground, fingers spread wide. Think about having a straight back. Lift the sides of the waist up and back. Point your tailbone towards the sky. Head hangs heavy. Gaze is through your legs. It's more important to have a flat back than to have straight legs. So if it helps you to point your tailbone up to the sky, bend the knees as much as you need to. And then lower the heels energetically towards the ground. They don't have to touch. Take any more movement that you'd like. Maybe you need to wiggle the hips a little bit. Pushing into the ground with all 10 fingers. Come to stillness. From downward facing dog, come up on the heels, look forward. Walk the feet to meet the hands. Go ahead and take a ragdoll here, so you can keep your hands planted on the ground if you want. If you like, you can take a grab opposite elbows. You can wrap the arms around the thighs or the calves. You can take a grip behind the neck to gently pull the head closer to the ground. Taking any movement you think is comfortable and might feel good. Rest the belly, entire upper body on the thighs, and really let gravity pull down on the spine. Release the hands, bend the knees even more, and slowly roll the spine up. Last things to reach the top are shoulders and head. At the top, take a big shrug, bring your shoulders up to your ears, and release them gently back and down. On an inhale, sweep the arms up, interlock all fingers but your index finger, and cross the thumbs. Inhale, reach up and out of the waist, grounding down in your feet, and tilt to the right for half moon pose. Make sure you're tilting. Bring right shoulder forward and keep both hips in one line. Really think about pushing down into the left foot so that the weight stays even between both of your feet. 2 hips, 2 shoulders, entire front of your body facing the front of the mat. Inhale, come back to center. Reach up and exhale. Fold up into the left. Ground down in both feet. Equal pressure in left and right foot, really thinking about pushing into the right foot. Bring left shoulder forward and keep your hips square. Inhale, come back to center. Release the arms down. We're gonna take a giant step with the right foot to the back of the mat. So it's gonna look like this. I'm gonna tilt around so that you can see the front of me though. Tilt around, spin around. So from here, we're gonna sink down into a goddess pose. Feet point towards the opposite edges towards the corners of your mat. Knees point in the same direction as your toes. Sink as low as you can, making sure that your knees and your toes are pointing in the same direction. Think about shifting your upper body over top of your hips. So you want shoulders over hips. You can reach the arms forward, the palms forward, or up. Or really you can keep them on the thighs if that's comfortable for you. Try not to lean into it too much though. Breathe here. Really think about tucking the tailbone down and reaching the crown of the head up. On your next exhale, straighten the legs. Go ahead and point your toes to the front of the mat, to the long edge of the mat. If you'd like to take another step out, you can. Hands to your hips, reach the chest up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and slowly fold down. I like to take this a little bit wide. You can place your hands on the ground in front of you. You can put hands in a straight line between the feet. You can bend the knees as much as you need to. You can grab the backs of calves, thighs, ankles, whatever's comfortable. Releasing the upper body again. Bringing the weight into the front of your feet. Tailbone reaches up to the sky. Hands down to the ground, halfway lift, hands to hip, slowly rise. Which way are we going? I'm backwards. So, if we're facing this way, we'll come into a Trikonasana from here. Point right toes to the front of the mat. Pivot left toes sort of to the front left corner of your mat. My stance is a little long. You probably want about 4 feet. Think about the same width that you would want for a warrior 2 setup. Go ahead. Hips are they're not going to be parallel to the side of the room most likely, but working in that direction. Your hips are flat towards the side of the room. Reach your arms out, really reaching your fingers in the opposite directions. Tilt the body forward and tick-tock the arms to 12 and 6. Think about leaning back as though there were a wall behind you. I know I'm backwards. Imagine that there's a wall behind you that you could lean on. If you need to, you can, with a micro bend in the knee, place your right hand on your shin for a little bit more support. And really think about sucking the right hip bone, the right leg bone, into the hip. Inhale, rise. Now I'm gonna stay this way because that's probably gonna be easier to see. And then step the left foot forward a little bit. It should be about 3 feet. Hands to hips. Come down with a flat spine for pyramid. Come down as far as your body will let you with a straight spine. And then you can bend the knee as much as you need to allow you to drape the upper body over the front leg. Make sure to keep your hips square to the front of the mat. So you're pulling right hip back, left hip forward. And really work to relax the upper body. From here, frame your front leg with your hands, bend the knees, and step the left leg back. Bring your left knee to the ground, untuck the toes for Anjaneyasana. Here we're going to keep the hands and the gaze down. This is a bit more of a grounding version of the posture. Think about tractioning your front foot forward and your back knee your front foot backwards and your back knee forwards to still come up out of the hip. Even though it's grounding, it doesn't need to be a resting posture. Gaze is between the hands. If your legs are long like mine, you might need to tint the fingers to come up on them. When you're ready, tuck the left toes, come up on your back knee, step the left foot to meet the right at the top of the mat. Go ahead and halfway lift and then fold. From here, heel toe your feet to about a mat's width distance. Go ahead and rise, and then we're going to sink our butts down into a Malasana. So bend the knees, making sure that your knees and your feet are tractioning in the same direction as usual. Slowly come down. As low as you can comfortably come. Don't let yourself sink into the bottom. At the very bottom, think about rising about an inch. Keep your spine straight. You can bring your hands to heart center. You can put your hands on the ground in front of you if that's comfortable. If your hands are at heart center, you're gently pressing the knees outward, but you're not applying too much pressure. You want to make sure that your knees are in the same direction as your toes. Straight spine, core is engaged here. Exhale, place your hands on the ground, rise to a forward fold, step back to a downward facing dog. You can take some movement here, but eventually coming to a static downward facing dog. We're going to reset and then we'll move through that same sequence on the other side. Five breaths here. Big inhales. And then exhale through the mouth, let it go. On your next inhale, rise up on the toes, walk the feet forward, bend behind the hands. Bend the knees, curl up into a Tadasana. Inhale, raise the arms, cross all the fingers and the thumbs. Release the index fingers, root down through your feet, rise up through your upper body, and lean to the right. Two shoulders in one line, bring right shoulder forward, press into left foot. Inhale, rise. Exhale, reach up into the left. Bring left hip forward, press down into right foot, left shoulder comes forward. Entire torso flat towards the front of the room. Inhale to rise. Exhale, release the hands. Step the right foot back this time to a giant step at the back of the room. I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing it on opposite sides too. Come down into your goddess squat, making sure that your tailbone is pointing down and the crown of your head reaches up. Think about if there were a string that went straight through your spine and somebody was tugging it upward. Sink lower and hold. You can take some movement here if you'd like. Exhale, straighten the legs, point toes towards the front of the room. Hands to hips, chest up, fold at the hips. Come down as low as you can with a straight spine. Bend the knees as much as you need to release the upper body down. Inhale, hands to hips, slowly rise up. Pivot the left toes to point the front of the room. Pivot right toes to point to the top front right corner of your mat. Arms extend out. Pelvis turns sort of to the side of the room. It won't be flat, and that's okay. Tilt forward as much as you can, and when you reach the boundary where you can't reach any further, tick-tock the arms. Maybe they come to ankle, maybe they come to shin, maybe they can't even come to shin. You bend the knee and place left hand on the shin for some extra support. You can also use a block here if you have one, or a water bottle or anything that you need. Just try not to push into the knee joint. Think about leaning back as though there were a wall behind you to support you, and pull the right thigh bone into the left thigh bone into the hip joint. Inhale to rise. Step the right foot forward a little bit. You want about 3 feet for pyramid pose. Square your hips to the front of the room. Go ahead and slowly tilt forward with a flat spine. As far as you can go down without curling the spine, then bend the knee and drape the upper body over the left knee. Pull back on your left hip and pull your right hip forward. Keeping hips square to the front of the room as you fold. Draping the upper body on the left leg. From here, step right foot, bend the knee, step right foot back, lower the knee, untuck the toe for a low lunge Anjaneyasana. Hands still frame, left foot, gaze is in between the hands. Really tractioning right foot forward, left foot back to keep thighs active. Go ahead and tuck the toes, pop up on right knee, step the right foot forward, heel toe your feet to mat width, the distance, or whatever is comfortable. Come to rise and sink down into a Malasana. Don't mind my knees cracking. When you come to the bottom, come up 1 or 2 inches so that you're remaining active. Make sure knees point in the same direction as toes. If your hands are at heart center, making sure that you're not putting too much pressure on the knees. If you have any knee pain, go ahead and back off in this posture. Take a few breaths here. When you're ready, release hands to the ground. If you'd like, this is a good setup for a crow pose. So you want to put your hands about a foot in front of your toes. Place hands on the ground. I have no idea if you can see me. I'm so sorry. Fingers spread wide into a wide-legged forward fold. Thinking chaturanga arms. So you bend at the elbow, bend the knees, and work the knees as high up on the back of the arm as you can. So on your triceps above the elbow. If you can get them into your armpits, that's great. From here, start to bring weight into your hands. Gaze should be about a foot in front of your hands. And then once you start to bring the weight forward, you can start to lift one foot at a time. Press that foot back down. Opposite foot. Or both. Making sure to engage the core. It's harder on carpet than it is on wood. So if you'd like to practice with this, you can go ahead and pause the video if you want to play here. I'm not gonna play with it too much. If you'd really like to work on it, it really helps if you warm up your core beforehand. So from here, after you're finished playing with crow, you can come back forward, go ahead and lower your butt all the way to the ground. These are in my way. My mat is crooked. And I wish that it wasn't. I'm gonna straighten it out. There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna do a little bit of a cool down, grounding kind of practice. This is supposed to be relaxing, easier. So from here, bring your right foot in front of you, parallel to the top of the mat. And then left knee, kind of at the base of right foot. From here, you can stay here. If this, you'll feel sensation in the left hip. You can stay here, or you can choose to fold over right knee. Whatever feels good. If folding is too much, go ahead and back off a little bit. If this is too much on the knee, you can take a sleeping pigeon. You can just rest in child's pose. When you're ready, go ahead and walk the arms back. We'll take a twist here. Inhale, raise both hands. Exhale, left hand to right knee. Similar to what we did in the beginning, you can bring right hand kind of behind your hip and twist. Reaching the crown of the head up, tucking the belly button in and to the left in the opposite direction of the twist. Relaxing your shoulders. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, lower. We're gonna go on the opposite side. So bring left shin parallel to the front of the mat. Right knee, oh, my hip. That's a good noise. Right knee almost meets the left foot. Kind of sit yourself up as tall as you can. Your right butt may not reach the ground, and that's okay. If this is too much, you can move the knee back or up, whatever is comfortable. You can also straighten the leg a little bit. That'll give you a little bit more intensity in the hip joint. From here, you can fold if that's comfortable and accessible to you. You can stay, whatever is comfortable. Begin to walk the hands back. And we'll take the twist on this side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, left hand behind left hip. Right hand on right knee, on left knee. Tuck your belly button up into the left, in the opposite direction of the twist. Gaze can go over left shoulder to the back wall, if that's comfortable. If not, it can be straight ahead. Inhale, untwist, arms up. Go ahead. Bring your feet in front of you. Don't mind me. And we will roll down onto our backs. We'll move through one back bend. It'll be a bridge. If you'd like to take full wheel instead, you're welcome to, but I'm going to cue through bridge. So bring your heels directly under your knees. A good way to test where that might be, your fingertips might brush the back of your heels. Firmly press your feet hip width distance into the mat. Hands press into the mat. Lift the hips off of the ground. Raise hips as high as you can. Think about tractioning your feet back towards your butt. Squeeze your butt, squeeze your thighs below where your thigh meets your butt. Really lift your hips up to the ceiling. Knees are parallel to each other, pointing in the same direction as toes. Back of the head pushes into the mat, making sure that you leave room for the natural curve of your neck. If you'd like to, you can walk the shoulders underneath the body and grip the hands. If you take this bind, push the fists into the ground and reach toward your heels, making sure that you keep pressing into the mat with the back of your head. Roll the chest toward your chin, but make sure that you keep space between your chin and your chest. Gaze is straight above you. When you're ready, walk the shoulders back out and gently lower hips down. Walk the feet out to the opposite edges of the mat. And go ahead and let the knees fall in. Meet your feet in the middle of the mat and let your knees fall to either side for Supta Baddha Konasana. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can put some kind of a prop. I like the blocks under the knees to kind of give yourself something to land on. If not, it's okay to just land and continue to sit with your feet down, whatever's comfortable. You can bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. Gently bring the knees back up. You can use your hands to help you. Bring the knees above the hips. Go ahead and bring the knees up to your armpits for happy baby. You can grab the backs of your thighs, the backs of your calves, the outsides of your feet, the insides of your feet, or even your toes. Whatever is accessible and comfortable for you. Push, if you have the grip on the outside of your feet, push your feet into your hand and your hand back into your feet. Flatten your back, your entire back against the mat. So shoulders are flat, hips are flat. Upper thighs reach down. Feet are pointed toward the ceiling, flexed. You can take movement here, massaging the lower spine. And when you're ready, go ahead and release both legs and both arms out for your final Shavasana. You can take any wiggles that you might need to make yourself comfortable. I've scooched myself down really far. So go ahead and make yourself comfortable. Any shape that is comfortable and accessible to you. And then relax your body onto your mat. Sink into the earth beneath you. Allow it to hold you and nurture you. Release the tension in your eyebrows, between your eyebrows, in your jaw, in your forehead. Release the tension in your toes, and your chest, and your arms, and your fingers. Release the tension in your legs, and your hips, and your belly. Really just relax as fully as you can. Feel free to pause the video here and stay as long as you like in your final Savasana. When you're ready, go ahead and start bringing small movements back into the body. You can start wiggling fingers or toes. You can circle ankles or wrists. Whatever you like. Maybe you bring arms above head and reach towards both ends of the room with your hands and your feet for a big good morning stretch. And when you're ready, rolling onto one side or the other to land in a fetal position for a moment of rest. Before finally pushing up into a seated position. Any seat that's comfortable. Inhale. Sweep arms up above the head. Pull hands to heart center with an exhale. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.